Even if you are a parent, even if you're a mother or a father, you have to apply for a guardianship of a 18 plus adult with autism. These are very controversial areas. We need to understand that.
For a parent who is thinking about the future of their autistic child, which is what happens to our child, or who becomes the legal guardian after I'm gone.
Unfortunately, when you go to the ground level, when they're children to these adults, they didn't get opportunity to learn everything, so they actually become dependent.
Is there any real monitoring mechanisms, or the state's involvement ends after the certificate is issued?
If you look at the global slogan of disability movement, nothing about us without us, but how many person with autism did they consult while making a decision, a policy on us?
What if I tell you that one single signature could determine the course of your entire life? Not just where you work or where you study, but the fact that you get to decide all of that at all. For thousands of individuals with disabilities in India, that is the reality. Legal guardianship, which is meant to protect, often ends up controlling. Welcome to today's episode of the India Autism Center podcast. And today we are asking a very hard question. That is, why do the government schemes for autism exist on paper but fail families in real life? Hi, I'm your host Reek Chakraborty, and today we have Ms. Shompa Sengupta, a Kolkata-based activist working in the intersection of disability and gender for 25 years. Welcome to the podcast, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So, for the first question, we are keeping it pretty simple. Can you just explain in plain terms what legal guardianship means according to National Trust Act?
According to National Trust Act, a person with certain kinds of disabilities, which includes autism, cerebral palsy, multiple disabilities, uh, mm, these people do not become self-guardian like people like us. When we reach 18,
Right.
we become self-guardians.
Yes.
So we don't need a guardian signature to go anywhere or to open a bank account, to operate any property-related work. But these people may not have the ability to become a self-guardian. So there is a guardianship law is there,
Right.
whereby even if you are a parent, even if you are a mother or a father, you have to apply for a guardianship of a 18 plus adult with autism and other certain kinds of disabilities. These are very controversial areas. We need to understand that because India is a signatory to and we also ratified UNCRPD, United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And that says that everyone will have equal legal capacity. Now, if the moment you say that I am under guardianship of someone else, I don't have equal legal capacity.
Right.
So it's a very controversial case. But unfortunately, when you go to the ground level, we do not give opportunity to when they're children to these adults. They didn't get opportunity to learn everything, so they actually become dependent.
Right.
So that is why the need of guardianship is still there.
Okay. So just to follow up on that, what does it take away from the person it's granted over if you're talking about legal guardianship?
A person who may have a high capability of intellectual high capability, but maybe non-verbal, maybe for different kinds of reasons. Suppose it is autism, since we are talking mostly about autism today. Suppose it is autism. Uh, so even a highly intelligent person with autism may not be given opportunity to take decision on his or her own behalf. You cannot take decision regarding banking rights, regarding any uh, property related issue. And so that means literally you are dependent on someone.
Yes. Yes.
So whoever it is, even if it is your very close family member or a family friend, or even an NGO can become a legal guardian. So that's why I said it's very controversial, because at one point we have CRPD, we have Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, which talks about guardianship in a different level, and at another point we have National Trust Act. So a lot of contradiction is there in our current law,
Right.
which is unfortunate.
Yes, absolutely. Before we continue, we have a special announcement for our viewers. To mark the 10th anniversary of the RPwD Act, we are hosting a special live session on Instagram where we would talk about this and also some important disability rights issues in greater detail. To be there, you can scan the QR code on the screen that you have right now, and you can also check out the link in the description given below. So, coming back to our podcast, for the next question, I want to ask that in practice, are the local level committees are they actually conducting detailed individual assessments, or it's actually going to full guardianship by default?
Since inception, I mean, we need to look into history a little bit also. Since inception, I don't think people who are given the charge of local level committees under National Trust Act, they were also not given proper training of what kind of guardianship a person will need. Lot of times, because of paucity of time and also financial issues, they do not make home visits. They take decision. I mean, these are the complaints we hear from all over India.
Right.
So a lot of time this kind of things happen. So someone actually applied for legal guardianship, and it took like months, and no one visited the family, no one. So this kind of complaints also we hear. One of the major reason for this is, uh, in our country we do not have proper awareness on any disability issues. Autism is of course most like, it's not understood by a majority of the people, but even for other disability issues we realize that common people have no understanding. The awareness level is very poor. So
Yes.
who will need limited guardianship, who will need full guardianship, these things also remains very questionable.
Right. Right.
So a lot of again, as I said, guardianship itself is a controversial issue. So that is a major challenge in advancing rights of adults with autism and cerebral palsy.
That's very well put, ma'am. For our next question, what happens when a guardian neglects or financially exploits the person they're supposed to protect?
National Trust Act itself talks about punishment, and this is actually the first law. I mean, even it came much before RPD Act. So the first law that talked about punishment, where a guardian can be removed, like there can be, if there is a complaint, so one can remove the guardian. There can be punishment, and it is also very common in our country. Again, unfortunately, because people see uh, a person who needs legal guardianship as a very vulnerable person,
Yes.
and that person does as if they do not have any voice, which is not true. So we need to have a very close monitoring system, and that punishment is, see, the clause is there, but we don't hear about that a person is punished, because
Yeah, yeah.
we hear about uh, that there is exploitation. Those cases come, but we have not heard about much about punishment as yet.
So it's more of an implementation issue.
Yeah, it is an implementation issue. In fact, all the disability laws that we have, majority of them are very powerful, but implementation remains problem.
Right. If you're watching this and finding it helpful, don't forget to like and also press that subscribe button. It helps you find our videos better. So after this, I want to get into something which is a very common, what will you say, a common concern for a parent who is thinking about the future of their autistic child, which is what happens to our child or who becomes the legal guardian after I'm gone. So that's probably the most concerning question they have in their mind. And regarding that, what I want to ask is India's current guardianship system actually prepared to answer that? And especially that our population of autistic adults are growing.
See, there are two ways of saying this. Not that every adult with autism will need a guardian. We also need to understand that. Because in recent times, we have seen that a person with, because autism is a spectrum.
Yes.
It's not everyone is not similar. So some person might need guardian, person may not need. So recently we have seen someone with ASD, autism, successfully completing graduation from Presidency University. So do you think that person will need guardian? They will not need, because he can self take his own decision. Someone who's who can actually enter a prestigious university like Presidency, complete his graduation.
Yes.
He will not need someone to take decision on his behalf. We also have and these are all cases from Kolkata, West Bengal. We recently have someone with autism who joined postal service, a government job. So this person will not need guardian. But unfortunately, many will need guardian. So we also need to understand the spectrum. And since it is a spectrum, that is also it's being misunderstood so much, because people don't understand who needs what. But if there is a gap in understanding, so that is a problem area.
Before we continue, let's take a look at who we are at the India Autism Center.
Imagine a space designed not just to care for individuals with autism, but to empower them. A place where knowledge grows, support flourishes, and possibilities expand. This is India Autism Center. It is built to redefine how we approach autism. Through education, research, and community-driven initiatives, we create an environment where individuals with autism can thrive. Samavesh, our residential campus, is designed for individuals with autism to live, learn, and grow with dignity and independence. It is more than just a place to stay. It is a space to belong. Manan, our training academy, prepares professionals to provide specialized care. Through structured programs, we equip individuals with the skills to support neurodivergent communities with confidence and compassion. Khoj, our research division, is dedicated to advancing our understanding of autism. Through data-driven studies and collaborative research, we work towards shaping the future of neurodiversity.
So, coming back to our context, once a guardian is appointed, who is actually checking in afterwards? Is there any real monitoring mechanisms, or the state's involvement ends after the certificate is issued?
Actually, it's a local level committee's duty.
Right.
Because anyone can, if you look at the National Trust Act, anyone can complain. Even if I see someone who may be staying close by and I see that there is some exploitation happen, even I can complain. So that is there, that the citizens have the right to complain. But then the local level committee have to be active.
Yes.
They need to do more, like family visits and checking in. and it needs a lot of uh, not just awareness, I think a lot of coordination also.
Yeah.
With the because being the government, sometimes there are ups and downs, and people change, a person change, and it becomes difficult to follow up with another person. Those kind of things also happen. So
Right. In cases of exploitation or neglect, is the burden of proof unfairly placed on the individual who is the vulnerable or the family?
no, a proof is not in any kind of. If we look in general, and this is beyond National Trust Act, if we look at any law, even our IPC, our Indian Penal Code, now we call it Bharat Nash Sanghita, so BNS. If you look at that, a disabled person will not be giving a proof. It's like whatever this person says will be believed, but it's the onus is always on the uh, abuser to prove that he's not doing any wrong. It's always it's in all cases, even if it's sexual violence or any kind of molestation, any kind of. So that is always because it's not just national trust, because we are under so many other laws.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So, last question, ma'am. If there's one thing you want policymakers, parents, and the society at large to understand about legal guardianship, what would that be?
I think it is very important that people understand, particularly the policymakers, because parents have their own lived in experiences. The persons with autism, of course, they are experts of their lives. And what our policymakers do, unfortunately, is we do not listen to them. Uh, if you look at the global slogan of disability movement, nothing about us without us. But how many person with autism did uh, they consult while making a decision, a policy on us? I mean, that is something very important, because a lot of them are very vocal. If they are not verbal, sometimes they're writing their own needs, writing. Uh, so what is their expectation? And that is something India is lacking right now. We don't listen to the voices of people with autism. And that is something we need to change.
That's very well put, ma'am. And today's conversation reminds us of something very powerful. Protection should never come at the cost of dignity. And systems designed to support that should evolve with the people they are serving. A huge thank you, ma'am. A huge thank you for Ms. Shompa Sengupta for shedding light on something which is a very important and a very commonly faced issue for people with disabilities. And today we got to understand that in more depth. So thank you, ma'am, for joining us
Thank you
today.
so much.
And before we wrap up, we have our free ADL sheets on our website. Do check them out. They're in the link. The link is there in the description below.